everybody, this is GGB co-host Poppers, and I know what you are thinking. GGB, you rapscallion, you did not record yesterday your college football videos. And I know, college football videos are the ones that give me the most subscribers. I really wanted to get them out, but you know what happened? The one I wanted to get out those college football videos? Let's back up a little bit. If you people who've been following my channel for a long time know I have gone through tremendous strides to get most of these videos up. I posted when I had COVID. I posted this week when I was sick as a dog. So what could have possibly happened that would make me not want to film? By the way, I'm still sick. The college football videos. I'll tell you what happened. An insane ear infection. Let's go. I was at my high school football game, and right before the game, I was like, this sounds like echoey over here. It was weird. And I was like, oh, it'll probably go away. I just got something stuck in my ear. It did not go away, and then by the end of the game, I was in a tremendous amount of pain, and when I got home from the game, I drove myself to the hospital like a baddie. Anyways, got some medicine for it, but that medicine made me go to sleep, and that's normally when I record the game. Anyways, long story short, I couldn't get those videos out, and I had work the next day, so I couldn't record them in the morning, so I asked my dad to do it, and honestly, he made about the shortest videos of all time that really provided absolutely no analysis, just your picks. And that's not what people watch this channel for. It's for the analysis. But, he did about as good a job as I expected him to. So, at 12 o'clock, we got the Redskins traveling to the Bills. This is a long way of saying that. Bills favorite was 7 points on Fox. This is an interesting game. Honestly, we watched the Redskins last week on Thursday night. We went a very, very good game against the Giants. Now, did they play their best game against the Giants? No, they did not. They did not play their best game by a long shot against the Giants, but they did come out on top in a game that could likely be less described as the Redskins really winning that game and more of the Giants finding every possible way to lose it, including dropping a touchdown pass with no one within 30 yards of you and going offsides to give them another shot after they missed the game-winning field goal. But regardless of how they won last week, the Redskins are at 1-1, and the Bills are at 1-1. The Bills, on the other hand, had a dominant win over the Dolphins. But what's interesting about that win is I don't know how much of it can be described as the Bills really dominating that game. Well, they looked good at the beginning, and they looked good throughout the entire thing. I don't know how much to put on the fact that the Bills were really that good on offense and defense, and how much to put on the fact that Tua Tagovailoa was not in that game. And whether you like it or not as a Dolphins fan, Jacoby Brissette is nowhere near as high of an option as Tua Tagovailoa. Tua at least provides the essence of a possible deep threat. He could throw the deep ball. He doesn't have a horrible one. Jacoby Brissette, on the other hand, he would rather get shot than take a deep shot. But I think this is an interesting game. You got Josh Allen, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the game as he started out the season phenomenally well. I would argue not. He has not been the quarterback I expected him to be, but he's getting there. And it has a high explosive offense. The defense looks really good. And then you got the Redskins on the other hand, where the offense has been what I've expected of the offense. Honestly, I don't think anyone expected high level of competency from the Redskins offense. For God's sake, everyone was hoping Ryan Fitzpatrick, the definition of a journeyman QB, to provide the guy who's never even gotten his team to the playoffs, to provide some kind of spark to get him to the NFC Championship game. I don't know. The offense never was going to be the thing that got the Redskins there. It was the defense. And the defense, honest to God, has not looked phenomenal here down the stretch. Now, how much of that can be put on the fact that Justin Herbert is absolutely amazing and the Chargers had an awesome game plan? I can't even buy that on the first game. If you watch it, they were getting the ball out extremely quickly. We weren't taking all that many deep shots. They weren't letting that front four affect them. They were picking on the team's weakest position, which is corner on defense. Although linebackers an arguably second weakest position. So they were picking on those two positions a lot. The Giants game, on the other hand, was a rough one. The front four got after him. It's true. They really did get after Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones still racked up a whole bunch of passing yards. Redskins so far on the ground, I have not been disappointed with how they've handled the run. Honestly, I thought they shut down Austin Eckler extremely well after like the first quarter. Saquon Barkley had one big run, and that was it in that game. I mean, I'm fine with how they're handling the run, but that's not the problem with the Bills. See, that's what I've been going back and forth. I think the Redskins are a good enough team. I think the Bills are a better team, though. I think they're a possible Super Bowl contender. I think Josh Allen gets it together in this game. I think it actually might be a high-scoring affair. I think the Redskins are going to come out on bottom of this one, and I think it's going to be a closer game than that 7-point spread indicates. Give me the Bills to win, Redskins to cover. 12 o'clock, we got the Bears traveling to Cleveland to play the Browns. Browns favored by 7.5 points in this game on Fox. The interesting point of this game, there's an interesting point about every game, but the interesting point for this game is Justin Fields' first start. And honestly, I was one of those people that are like, it's a mistake not to take him at 2. It is a mistake not to take him at 2. You should take him at 2. Take him at 2. I don't know how he doesn't get picked at 2. He doesn't get picked at 2. I'm like, okay, the Falcons can't pass on him. The frick is Falcons thinking? It's Fields. Honestly, he's a hometown hero. Everyone in the state of Georgia loved him until he went to Ohio State. And they would love to have him back as a Falcon. And then they're just like, oh, we'll take our rifle Kyle Pitts. I understand he's a tight end, and we're picking him in the top freaking 5. And that has almost never worked out. But let's just take a freaking tight end. I don't care. Who was... Oh, goddamn, who was for? I think it was the Niners. And the Niners were just like, frick it. Just take Trey Lance. I don't know. Anyways, somehow the hell he got to New York. Got to New York, and Chicago Bears are like, oh my God, he's flipped all the way. We got to go up there and get him. I mean, like, honestly, we don't have a QB. We have Andy Dalton, but, like, come on. He's not the future of our roster. Come on. So they went up and they got Justin Fields. They let him sit. Probably the best, because that way Andy Dalton can lose them games, and then Matt Nagy can get fired, and then Justin Fields won't have to deal with that absolutely horrible head coach. But regardless, Justin Fields is playing in this game. He is starting in this football game. I think it's going to be really interesting. The Bears have a very good ground game, in my opinion, with David Montgomery. Now, the problem I have with the Bears is the offensive line is absolutely atrocious. And they got to fix that, honestly. As I said, it's got some work to do on that offensive line. If you want to keep Justin Fields as your quarterback of the future, you don't have to look far to see a mobile quarterback that has gone extremely downhill with his team. And it's poor management, and it's Deshaun Watson and the Texans. Do you want to end up like Deshaun Watson and get a freaking offensive line and fire Matt Nagy, Chicago? Honestly, the ground game wasn't going to be horrible with David Montgomery. Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney are both very good threats on the offensive side of the ball. Tight ends, not bad either. Golgomet, Jimmy Graham, and I mean, even Jesse James is a legitimate threat to throw to. Cleveland defensively has not been as good as I expected them to be. I mean, my dad said it the other day. He's cutting the Cleveland defense so we can get a defense that doesn't absolutely suck. And I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, they've been bad through the first 2 games. Now, I can give them a pass with the Chiefs because, I mean, oh my God, it's the Chiefs. I don't know how many teams can defensively stop the Chiefs. But come on, guys. Tyrod Taylor and the Texans. I mean, like, I'm a huge Tyrod fan. I'm a huge Texans fan, but they should not have been killing you guys offensively like that. Oh my God, that was bad. But I think this is where the Browns' defense probably starts to come to life. I think they're going to pick on this rookie QB. I think Fields has a decent day, but I think the Browns run away with this one, especially at home. Give me Cleveland to like absolutely crush the Bears in this one, although Justin Fields put up a decent amount of points. At 12 o'clock, we get the Ravens traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. Ravens favored by 7.5 points in the game on CBS. And these 2 teams are teams that I unironically thought were... unironically, these are 2 teams that I'm surprised by this season. I thought the Ravens were a possible playoff team before the running back injuries. And then the running back injuries. I'm like, God, they're a running team. You can't lose your top 3 running backs and still be a running team unless you're like the Niners and Kyle Shanahan. Well, it turns out they are like the Niners and Kyle Shanahan. They don't care they lost J.K. Dobbins. They don't care they lost Gus the Bus. They don't... Oh, my God. They don't care they lost... damn it. Justice Hill. We'll just bring Guy up off our practice squad, you won't, will you? We'll get Latavius Murray out of free agency. We'll get Devonta Freeman, a back that everyone thinks is too old, and we'll just freaking run this ball. And they did. And they've done phenomenally running the ball. I'm surprised with the Ravens this year. Now, the wide receivers have not amazed me. I think Hollywood Brown has taken a step up. Sammy Watkins had a step down last game. They did not have a good game. And the fact is they only really utilized 2 wide receivers. Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, and the guy they got out of Oklahoma State. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. They are Tylan Wallace. They're hardly utilized in this offense. I understand they're a running offense, but oh my God, you almost never target anyone else except for Hollywood Brown and Sammy Watkins, and Mark Andrews, obviously, as a tight end. Josh Oliver has been a surprise, a guy that slipped out of Jacksonville, and honestly, just proof of that once you leave Jacksonville, you end up being better, because Josh Oliver has definitely looked like a third-round draft pick, at least early on in his Ravens career. Looking at the Lions, Lions have surprised me by a whole lot. They were winning against the Pack at halftime. Now, they lost, eventually, right? But honestly, if a few things go the Lions' way instead of the Packers' way, that could have been a whole different ballgame. If that pass interference call is the worst pass, honestly, I have not seen a worse pass interference call in my life. Oh my God, Amani Oruwariye did not. If that's pass interference, then everything is pass interference. Just throw a flag on every freaking play, ref, because if that's pass interference, that's just called coverage. That's just called coverage. But they kick a field goal at the 14-point game. Who knows what happens? Instead of the 17-point game, and Jared Goff has got to try and force it, and a whole bunch of other things happen that are bad. That's the thing that I think changed the outcome of the game. I think the rain changed the outcome of the game because the Lions, I think, went down by 11 points, right? No, they went down by 10 points. No. I think it was 11. I think it was 11. No, it was 10 points. I'm pretty positive it was 10 points. They go down by 10 points, and then Jared Goff fumbles the ball because it's so wet, right? If it doesn't rain in that game, who knows if he fumbles that snap? If it doesn't rain in that game, because that gave the ball to the Packers, who then scored a touchdown on that series that put the game away. If Jared Goff doesn't do that, does he go down the field and get a touchdown, make it a 3-point game? And then suddenly it's a whole different ballgame. Those are the two things that I think changed the outcome of the game. But still, I think the Lions have played extremely well. This was, by the way, the Lions without their top wide receiver on offense. And they still looked extremely solid. They bring Tyrell Williams, I believe, back this week. Not to mention, you pair him with Quintez Cephas, who looked absolutely phenomenal Monday night. And you got a special wide receiver group on your hands. Now, outside of that, Amara St. Brown could possibly be something special, but he's a guy you work into the offense, not just throw him in. And Khalif Raymond has done some good things as well as some bad things. So, I'm a little bit torn on him right now. There's nothing else really all that special to talk about in that wide receiver group. Tight end is an interesting thing because you got T.J. Hawkinson, but no one really got Darren Fells. There's some interesting players in that tight end group. Darren Fells was productive, a decent amount of productiveness in Houston. Obviously, you got running game. They got to get that running game going. You got DeAndre Swift. You have Jamal Williams. You need to get that game going on the ground. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to pick it. You know what? I'm going to pick it. I believe in the Lions. I think the Lions are going to get their first win of the game. I think this is one of the better 0-2 teams, if I'm going to be honest. I think the Lions are a little bit underrated this year. I think the Lions are going to pick up their first win. Jared Goff is going to absolutely kill it through there. I think it's going to be a shootout. Give me Goff and the Lions. 12 o'clock, we got the Colts traveling to the Titans in one of the biggest AFC South matchups of the year. Because if we're going to be honest, without Tyrod Taylor, the Texans have no shot in hell of winning that division. The Jaguars just straight up don't have a shot in hell of winning the division. It was always going to be between these two teams. And honestly, right now, the Colts are not looking like a playoff team, and the Titans are. Now, I would have a very different outlook. If you asked me 3 quarters last week. 3 quarters into the game, how was I thinking? What was I thinking about these teams? If you asked me 3 quarters into the game, I'm like, the Colts obviously are going to be bad next weekend. The Titans looks so sucky right now. Then the 4th quarter and overtime happened. And that completely changed my mind about the Titans. It seemed like they finally realized, we have freaking Derrick Henry on our football team. Why don't we hand it off to him, and get many yards. It's like, oh my God. Sometimes offenses so outthink themselves, it's ridiculous. You have arguably the best player in all of football. Run the ball with him. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, we have either, I'm trying to think of a comparison for people to get. Okay, I have Barry Sanders on my football team. Barry freaking Sanders. One of the best running backs of all time. Would I rather run the ball with him or throw the ball? No, I'd like to run it with Barry Sanders, obviously. Duh, the doy. See, the thing is, I couldn't give a bad quarterback, bad receiver combo because, let's be honest, Tannehill, Brown is very solid. But just the fact is, you have to realize that you have the best player in football and get the ball into his hands. And that's what they did in the fourth quarter and overtime last week, and that's why they won against the Seahawks. Now, the Colts defense is better than the Seahawks. I legitimately do believe that. But the Colts offense is really bad right now, guys. It's going to be really bad. Wentz had that offense somewhat rolling against the Rams, and then he sprained both. What the hell? Is this guy Mr. Glass? Honestly, because there is no way that this man gets hurt as often as he does and not have bones made of absolute glass. It doesn't make any freaking sense. Dude, I don't know, drink some freaking milk. You guys keep getting hurt every season, dude. I'm a huge fan of Carson Wentz, too. I just, like, it's like he wants to prove me wrong. Honestly, it's honestly, like, it feels like a slight at this point. But Jacob Eason starting quarterback, guy's making his first start at QB, not like there's Sam Ellinger there, too, that could possibly provide a little bit of competition. And if Eason's not doing well, you could throw him in. No. You got to stick with Eason the entire game. There's just no one behind Eason. Man, not in a good situation. Running game's not going to be bad. And if you want to win this game for the Colts, you got to run the ball a lot. Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, Nyheim Hines, do it. The Colts receiving group is eek, dude. I don't know if Mike... I thought I saw somewhere that Michael Pittman might be out for this game. I'm not positive. But if Michael Pittman's out in this game, it is oof, dude. Zach Pascal is your number one receiver. And when Zach Pascal is your number one receiver, you are not in a good place offensively. You got to throw it to the tight ends. You got to get it to Jack Doyle. You got to get it to Mo Alley-Cox. And you got to get it to Kyler Cranston because otherwise you will lose this football game if you were the Indianapolis Colts. I'm interested to see Jacob Eason. I thought he looked good in the preseason. We'll see if he looks good in the regular season. The Titans' defense has definitely improved from last year. I think this is going to be a Titans blowout. I have eking feeling about it. Give me the Titans to win and cover the spread. At 12 o'clock, we got the Chargers traveling to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Chiefs are by 7 points on CBS. Both these teams are coming off heartbreaking losses last week. The Chargers coming off a loss, if you didn't know, against the Cowboys, where they lost by 3 points on a Greg Zuerlein long field goal. It's like he can't make extra points, but like game-winning long field goals, dude, that's no problem. The Chargers arguably should have won that game if it wasn't for illegal shift that I don't know how the refs were seeing, but that's not an illegal shift. But it calls back a touchdown. The Chargers. I'm sorry, I got ear pain. So the Chargers should have had, right? And it kind of gives the game to the Cowboys. Kansas City, on the other hand, had the heartbreaking loss on Sunday night that everyone was watching. They had a 1 point loss that ended up being where they had the ball in Baltimore field goal range. They had it in Baltimore territory. They could have had a field goal with Harrison Buck. Trying to run down the clock as many yards as they can. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbles the ball and basically hands the game to the Ravens on a silver platter. They could have had it. They could have tried it. They could have gotten the stop on fourth down, but again, it's 4th and 1 with Lamar Jackson. It's going to be almost insanely hard to stop that. It was all on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if we're going to be honest. The defense did not play well, so this is going to be an interesting shootout, in my opinion. Because last time we saw Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes was like I think it was week 2. Was that or week 3? I think it was week 2. I think it was week 2 against Kansas City, right? And we had the awesome shootout. We had the awesome overtime where Harrison Buck tried to make like a 58-yard field goal or whatever to win it. He made like 3 50-plus yard kicks in that game. It was insane. Go Butker, by the way. But I think this is going to be another insane one here today. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of injuries on both sides. Again, Chiefs are one of the luckiest teams in that regard. Almost no injuries whatsoever. They have one starter and almost no depth players hurt at all. It's insane. The Chiefs are literally so lucky right now. If I could switch the Chiefs luck with my Saints luck, it would be gone, and the Saints would have almost no injuries to their starters. But we have something like, it was 5 or 6 starters on our side. It's just horrible. It's really bad for the Saints right now. But the Chargers don't have that many injuries that I'm aware of at the moment. I remember if you lose Eckler, the season's over if you're the Chargers, because you have absolutely no depth behind him, right? So Chargers Chiefs, I think it's gonna be a shootout. I think the Chargers are gonna cover the 7-point spread. I think the Chiefs are gonna win by a go-ahead field goal. 12 o'clock with the Saints traveling to the Patriots. Let's go Saints! Patriots favored by 3 points. Don't know how, but on Fox. I do know how. The Saints looked horrible last week. I gotta give my team some deserved hatred right now, because I hated them for a little bit for how absolutely horrible they made me feel. I can't believe they did this to me as a Saints fan. How could you get my hopes so high with the Packers win, and then just absolutely screw it? We'll just give the Panthers a win. Why not? We'll just play the worst offensive game since Sean Payton has been in charge of the Saints. Yeah, that's right. We put up 120 total yards of offense. That's how absolutely atrocious we were. Just James Winston threw for 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now, I'll get into that. I'd like to get a little bit more involved in why the Saints looked so bad last week. It was a lot on offense. It was a lot to do with that offensive line, right? Eric McCoy, our starting center, got hurt in the first game, and now we were fine when Cesar Ruiz switched over to center. Throckmorton was put in at right guard. But now, as soon as the Panthers had time to see, okay, we can just blitz them a whole bunch, and they're gonna have a hard time struggling with it. They're gonna struggle with it, and it's true. We had something like a 64% pressure rating on Winston, and that's the highest, third highest since 2009. Something like that. That's with the Texans' offensive line being there every week. So it just shows you how bad the Saints' offensive line was last week. I'm fine with the 2 tackles. Our 2 tackles I'm not just fine with them. I'm happy with our 2 tackles play. Ryan Ramczyk and Teron Armstead, I have complete faith in. See, I'll explain to you why that Eric McCoy could not have come at a worse time for us right now. Because Eric McCoy is normally a starting center, right? If Eric McCoy gets hurt, we normally have a backup named Will Clapp, right? He's our backup center. He's on IR. Our backup guard, James Hurst, kind of our swing tackle we put in as a 6th man. He's normally very solid. He's on IR. Ethan Greenidge, our other offensive tackle that we sometimes have on the roster, he's on IR. So, suddenly our offensive line depth is and we got a guy like me, Calvin Throckmorton, which I've called the Throck Monster before, because that's an RBT reference if you don't understand it. You're suddenly on an offensive guard starting that likely would not have made the team this year if injuries did not happen. Now, Calvin Throckmorton has to step up, and Cesar Ruiz has to step up, and Ian just for God's sakes, man, you're a starter normally. You need to step it up. We'll see if that happens this week. The defensive output, I have a lot of excuses for that one. Many injuries. You look at the defensive line. On the first week, obviously the Saints defense was awesome. Who did we lose after that week? We lost one of our starting defensive end, Marcus Davenport. The guy that would have started for him the week after that, Tano Compassignon. So that left your normally 3rd string guy, right, Carl Granderson, who's not bad, and Peyton Turner. Now, Peyton Turner had a fine game. Not upset with that at all. But Tano Compassignon would have been a huge help on the defensive line. At linebacker, you lose Quan Alexander at IR, right? Now, in comes Zach Bond. He's playing in his 2nd year. He's never really going to be an awesome linebacker like that. He's a will linebacker. He's playing a position he should not be playing right now. But we just got to survive with it right now. He's a good player. We just got to find a role for him in the offense. We lose Marshawn Lattimore, our lockdown corner, and I think these were our 2 biggest losses in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, our nickel. So immediately you lose your starting corner, your lockdown corner, the guy that would have been going against DJ Moore. And then you lose your nickel corner, which would have been going up against Christian McCaffrey a lot of the time. Now, the fact is we matched up Zach Bond against Christian McCaffrey a lot because we didn't want to have to trust PJ Williams, who is normally a dime corner, to have to come in and play that nickel role and cover Christian McCaffrey. I guess we had more faith in Zach Bond. I don't know if it was a good strategy, but I would have had way more faith in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson covering Christian McCaffrey. Those are the two players that killed us. And it's just, I mean, like, if you have Marshawn Lattimore and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, how different is that football game? On defense, I don't know. I mean, I honestly think it's a different football game if we have those three players. Good news for the Saints. Those two players. We get back three players this week. We get back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. We get back Marshawn Lattimore. And we get back Tano Capassignon. Now, bad news. Sorry. Bad news. Peyton Turner might be out for this week, and that guy looked absolutely amazing, so that kind of sucked. But that's the Saints stuff I have. Looking at the Patriots side of things, Mac Jones has looked fine, but they've really not been asking him to do much. They're basically just saying, hey, be a game manager. And I guess the Patriots can win like that. Not many games, though, I gotta think, right? Not in today's NFL. You need a QB that can absolutely sling it. There's not many teams in the NFL. Maybe the Redskins are one that can survive with a game manager. They did last year with Alex Smith. Because let's be honest, Alex Smith last year, he was nothing but a game manager. But the Pats right now have a rookie QB. Honestly, the rookies for me have not. They've not absolutely astounded me. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson have not looked good, and Mac Jones has looked like a game manager. He's thrown 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions. That's not making me excited for the future with Mac Jones. I don't know if it is for you. The running game for the Patriots, it's difficult. It's difficult to handle. The Saints' run defense is arguably one of the best in the NFL. It always has been and always, I don't know if it always will be. But, I don't know. I like the Saints in this one. Maybe I'm just a Saints fan. Maybe I'm a Saints homer. But I think the Saints get a bounce-back win after this week. I do think that. I think the Pats might be flying a little bit out after the Jets' domination win. Give me the Saints here. Still winning, obviously, cover. 12 o'clock with the Falcons traveling to New York to play the Giants. Giants favored by 2.5 points, game on Fox. So this is an interesting game. Because the Falcons are one of those teams I think is one of the 3 worst teams in the NFL. Right? I think the Falcons are really horrible. I think the Jaguars are really horrible. And I think the Jets are really horrible. I think the Falcons are up there. I honestly do. I think they're really, really bad. Now, there is always the possibility, which is why I've always had a hard time picking against them in the lock of the week. So the fact is, Matt Ryan can single-handedly win a game by himself. He does not have the team around him right now, but he can single-handedly win a game by himself. He's that good of a quarterback. Giants, on the other hand, started the season 0-2, but to me they're a whole different 0-2. Now, the Broncos game looked really bad. The Redskins game was a game they should have won. They should be 1-1 right now. They really should be. They should be. And I think we're talking about the Giants in a whole different light if they are 1-1. Because they're heading into the game, they can get a 2-1 game. The Eagles or the Cowboys will fall to 1. Like one of them will be 2-1 and the other one will be 1-2. And the Redskins could easily lose to the Bills this week, and if the Giants had beat them, that would be an 0-3 team. And they would be last place in the division. And the Giants would be tied for first place in the division. That didn't happen. Now, Daniel Jones looked really good against the Redskins. Now, how much of that is the fact that he's always dominating against the Redskins almost every time they play them? How much of that is that Daniel Jones turning an edge? I think it's a combination. Obviously, I think he dominates against the Redskins. I think he's turning a corner. I think he's... Oh, my God. Ow! Ah! The cough made my ear hurt. Ow! Oh, my God. Ow. In so much pain right now. Shows you the sacrifice for the grind set I'm on, guys. But I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I was so quiet for that. Anyways, those New York Giants, guys. I think Saquon Barkley is going to be a little bit more healthy this week, and I think as the season goes on, he'll get healthier and healthier and healthier. And I think Daniel Jones is going to be good. I think it's going to be interesting how they incorporate Kadarius Toney into this offense. He's been complaining a little bit because, honestly, I don't think he's been used at all. He might have had one catch in the Broncos game, but I have not seen his name. Sterling Shepard's obviously their best receiver right now. The Kenny Golladay also looks really good. Darius Slayton, he dropped a wide open touchdown pass, but it's like the same things you love about Darius Slayton, you hate about Darius Slayton. I think Kadarius Toney's the number 4 in that team, and that's what I was thinking. And it's not smart to take a receiver this early. And honestly, my Giants fan disagreed, but I don't think I'm wrong right now, at least looking back on it. I like the Giants here. I like them by a lot. I think the Falcons are not a very good football team this year. I think they're going to regret not taking Justin Fields last year. Give me the Giants to absolutely crush the Falcons and cover that 2.5 point spread, which I believe is like too low. The Falcons are absolute garbage, guys. Come on. 12 o'clock, we got the Bengals traveling to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, right? Steelers favored by 3 points on CBS. Bengals absolutely tried to lose that game against Chicago, and they did end up losing that game to Chicago. So it's like, you succeeded in losing that game. And Joe Burrow threw 3 picks. And that's a game you need to have. Like, their starting quarterback, Andy Dalton, goes down with an injury. I mean, Justin Fields did not even play that amazingly well, guys. Come on. And you have the game. It's just that your quarterback throws 3 interceptions, and they're so costly. You can't throw 3 picks, Joe. And then you had the Steelers. Steelers had a chance against Las Vegas. I picked Las Vegas last week because I am really high on the Raiders this year after game 1. But the Steelers right now, to me, are the better football team. There's a reason why they're favored by 3 points here. Big Ben Roethlisberger is not amazing with his arm. Defense I'm a little bit iffy on because I'm not sold on the Pittsburgh defense at all. But I am sold on this receiving core. I'm sold on the fact that Deontay Johnson's a good wide receiver. I'm sold on the fact that Chase Claypool's a good receiver. I'm sold on the fact that James Washington's a good receiver. I'm sold on Pat Freiermuth. I'm sold that Eric Ebron can be a decent part of this offense. Like, I'm sold on a lot of different parts of this offense. Not sold on Najee Harris yet. Not sold on him. But I think this is a better offense, and I think the Bengals defense is going to have a hard time. They're going to struggle with it. If they have 20 points to the Bears offense, that team is so absolutely so wacky, guys. You should not have let up 20 points, but regardless, that's a game they shouldn't have let up 20 points. Steelers should have put up more than 20. They should put up a significant more than 20 because their offense is way better than the Bears right now. It is. And the Bengals offense, I just don't know if we're going to get to see the week 1 Bengals offense, week 2 Bengals offense. And it's just kind of up in the air to me. I'm going to bet on the fact that the thing we saw last week is more of the Joe Burrow we see, at least for the next couple of weeks, than the one we did see week 1 against the Vikes. I like the Steelers here to win and cover. 12 o'clock, we got my lock of the week. The Cards traveling to Jacksonville to play the Jags. Now it's the second largest spread of the week. But I love the Cardinals here. Cardinals are 2-0. Now, they won a squeaker against Minnesota that they likely should not have. If we are going to be honest, Arizona likely should not have won that football game. If Minnesota did not have the absolute worst choice in kickers of all time, like, honestly, how can you pick so many bad kickers? I just don't get it. Like, there's got to be some good kickers, right? Like, I know a lot of different teams have good kickers, and some of them have. Obviously, you go through bad streaks of kickers, but it's like I don't remember them having a good streak of kickers. I don't remember having a good kicker. They never picked the right kicker, and it really cost them. It cost them a lot, right? They lost the NFC Championship against the Seahawks because of it. They lost. They lost this game because they've lost multiple games because of a missed field goal. So it's a whole ordeal. The Arizona Cardinals right now are a really good football team. Though, on the other hand, you got Kyler Murray on offense. You got on the wide receiver core, D-Hop, Christian Kirk, A.J. Green, Rondale Moore. You got at tight end. Actually, I don't want to list the tight ends because they're not that impressive. At running back, you also don't have that many impressive awesome. You really just have Chase Edmonds and, damn, how am I forget his name? I'm blanking on this backup running back's name. Oh, dang it, he was the Steelers back. I don't understand. I'm blanking on this. I'm sorry. Just comment in the comment section below how stupid I am and what his name is, so I can be reminded. Jacksonville's offense has not been doing phenomenally well. Now they did hold it with Denver for about a half, but I don't know if that's good. It really doesn't seem all that great. I'm not sold on Jacksonville this year. I think Jacksonville's one of the 3 worst teams in the NFL now. I think Trevor Lawrence can improve as the year goes along, but his offensive line's not taking care of him. I think he has some receiving threats. I like his receiving options. I just don't like the offensive line. I think it's really, really bad. I think it's really atrocious, and I really think they need to get it fixed. Give me the Cards to absolutely crush the Jaguars. At 3:05, we got... Alright, I let him put on these sunnies for you. Baby. Just put these on real quick. At 3:05, we got Puppers. Pick of the week. Yeah? Really? Wow. She's going to pick the Jets to win over the Broncos this week. I don't know if I agree with you there, Puppers. I think the Broncos are good. The Broncos are one of my surprise teams to start the year. I didn't think they were going to be good. I honestly didn't. I didn't have them in my playoff picks. I don't know anyone that did have them in their playoff picks. Because the AFC is so loaded right now. If they were in the NFC, I would have been allowed to play this playoff picks. But not in anyone's people's that I know playoff picks. Oh, wait. Did I say Raiders? I meant Broncos. Broncos are the team. Like, maybe they might have been in a couple people's playoff picks, but honestly, don't know anyone who had them in the playoffs. Jets right now are playing really badly. Zach Wilson threw something like 4 interceptions out of his first 5 throws or something insane like that. It was nuts. It was crazy. It was crazy. Adelaide. Jets' offense is bad right now. The offensive line is not protecting Zach Wilson. The receivers aren't getting that much separation, which is surprising to me because you do have some good wide receivers. You have Jamison Crowder. You spent money in free agency to get Corey Davis. You drafted Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims relatively high. Your offense should have the ability to be explosive, but it's the same thing I have the problem with the Jags offense. Their offensive line's so bad that there is absolutely no chance their offense is able to go anywhere. It's just impossible with this football team. It's just not happening. Now, Denver, on the other hand, I think is a very exciting team. Now, I understand Teddy Bridgewater not playing elite level competition. They've played the Giants, the Jaguars, and the Jets. Now, again, horrible start to the season, but if you started out 3-0, it's a good start. Regardless of who you're playing 3 NFL teams. Starting out the season 3-0 is impressive. You have Teddy Bridgewater. He's Teddy Checkdown, right? He's not going to win the game for you by himself. He's going to win the game by proxy, by getting into playmakers' hands. Running game hasn't been going phenomenally well, my opinion. Melvin Gordon is okay. Javonte Williams is okay. Now, again, they're working fine as a duo, but you just got to see how long that lasts. At wide receiver, I think it's a little bit interesting with the Jerry Jeudy going on IR, but you still have your number one receiver is going to be Cortland Sutton. You need KJ Hamler to step in that Jerry Jeudy role, and you're going to need Tim Patrick to step into that KJ Hamler role, and then you're going to have either Kendall Hilton or some other guy, I think from McNeese State, step into that that number 4 wide receiver role. Because the Broncos do use number 4 wide receivers a decent amount. Tim Patrick. Tight end, obviously they're stacked. Noah Fant, Albert O are both very solid. I think this defense is very, very good. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch the Broncos play this year. Because I think the Broncos are a legitimate playoff contender right now. And I think the Broncos are going to win and cover this game. Sorry, Adelaide, but I think it's true. At 3:05, we've got the Dolphins traveling to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. Raiders are over 3.5 points on CBS. Now, put in the comment section below. I'm not positive right now. Is Josh Jacobs playing? I understand this is a live stream, but I want to test your knowledge as well. Do you know if Josh Jacobs is playing? Don't look it up. I don't know. I didn't see any news on Josh Jacobs. If he is out, they don't have a bad backfield, right? Kenyon Drake is a fine number 1 in the NFL, and you have Peyton Barber, who was in fact the number 1 back in the NFL not that long ago with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, it wasn't very good. He's a fine power back, though. You can use him in certain instances. He works. He works as a short distance back. It's fine. The Raiders are going to have to rely a lot on Derek Carr's arm, in my opinion. See, I think the Raiders are an interesting football team because I think arguably their best wide receiver is a slot receiver, which I don't think I've ever said ever before. I normally don't say slot receivers are the best slot receiver on a football team because they're normally like little guys just find holes. I guess they're not really the fastest. They're not really normally they're not the best receiver, but I think for the Raiders, Hunter Renfrow is their best receiver. I understand Henry Ruggs is really fast, but he hasn't been doing phenomenally well. I think he had the deep ball, and honestly, he didn't have a horrible game against the Steelers, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in him if I have to rely on him as the number 1 option. I have faith in Hunter Renfrow. Brian Edwards is another guy I thought was really interesting against the Ravens week 1. I'll see if he grows, but I still think Hunter Renfrow is the best receiver on this football team. Willie Sneed was a guy I thought they signed in free agency and would use a good amount because, again, he is freaking Willie Sneed. He is literally the definition of glue for hands, unless he's playing the Ravens, apparently, but they haven't used him at all, so it's interesting, in my opinion. Their number 1 option, though, offensively, is a tight end. And, only teams I think you see this is, San Francisco, Kansas City. There's an argument to be made, Tampa Bay and Gronk, although I don't know, Mike Evans might be the number 1 option there. Darren Waller is a really good tight end. I really do think that. Darren Waller is a phenomenal football player. But I would really love to see it get him on some of these wide receivers' hands. I love watching Henry Ruggs run. He can straight up go. Dolphins, on the other hand, I was really looking forward to this game, if I'm going to be honest. I was looking at it ahead. I'm like, man, Dolphins look good right now. The Raiders look good. Damn, this might be a really good game. Then Tua got hurt. I just feel way less interested in this football game. Dolphins still have some threats offensively. And Jacoby Brissette can sling it around. He has a chance in this game, right? Your defense is going to play well, and it's going to be a really fun thing to watch is the Raiders offense versus the Dolphins defense. I think it's going to be interesting, the Dolphins' offense part, because you still have the weapons. You still have Mike Gesicki. You still have Myles Gaskins. You still have Salvin Ahmed. You still have Devontae Parker. You still have Will Fuller. You still have Jalen Waddle. You still have, I don't know if Jakeem Hampton's going to be healthy for this game. I think he's an FE1. But you have all of these playmakers on offense. You have to get the ball to them. And if you're Jacoby Brissette, you got it. A game manager might work in this instance. I don't think it will. I think you're going to have to outscore Las Vegas. And the fact is, I don't think this Dolphins defense can do that. Raiders are only favored by 3. Give me them to win and cover this one. 3:25, we got the Bucs traveling to LA, SoFi Stadium. Bucs are over 1.5 in this game on Fox. The Bucs look good week 2. They look good week 1 against Dallas, although arguably Dallas should have won that football game. If we're going to be honest, they let so many points walk off the board, single-handedly. The Cowboys kicker Greg Zuerlein lost them the football game. But that's neither here nor there. Bucs are 2-0. The Rams are 2-0, despite blocking their own freaking punt. How often you block your own punt? It's really amazing. It really is somewhat amazing that Nick Scott could be that boneheaded, that absolute moronic, to stand where the ball is going to be snapped. Honestly, get out of the way, dude. Oh my God. But the Rams did end up pulling out to win that game. It was a lot closer than it should have been. Also, that Falcons game was a lot closer than it should have been against the Bucs. I understand the Bucs pulled away late, but that was a lot closer game than it probably should have been. It was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. That should not have been the case with the Falcons. You were playing the Falcons. I love the Rams. I have been adamant by how much I love the Rams every week since Matthew Stafford has been traded. I love the Rams. I think the Rams were my Super Bowl pick. They're my pick to win the Super Bowl. I think this could be the NFC Championship game. I love the Rams. I understand, and Bucs are favorite moment. I love the Rams. I love the Rams. I love Matthew Stafford. I love Cooper Kupp. I love Robert Woods. I love Tyler Higbee. I love the ground game. I love the defense for the Rams. I'm in love with every single portion of this Rams football team. I love it so much. I'm so much in love with this team as a Super Bowl contender. I think they are the best team in the NFL. Now, Kansas City might have a word with them about that. We'll see. But I think right now, the Rams are my pick to win the Super Bowl. And I've been adamant about that from week one. Now, actually not from when they traded for Stafford. And we'll see with the Bucs. It's going to be interesting. I think AB's out for this game. Their defense is a little bit fragmented right now, so the Rams could really put up some points. We saw that their defense does not look spectacular. I mean, even the Falcons were putting up points against them. But I love the Rams here. I honestly do. I think the Rams are going to win. I think they're going to upset the Bucs, and I think they're going to cover. At 3:25, we got Seattle traveling to Minnesota to play the Vikes, and it's like Seattle's coming off a heartbreaking loss. Minnesota's coming off a heartbreaking loss. Seattle's heartbreaking loss was a game you were up by 14 points late in the fourth, and you blow that game. You absolutely blow that football game. The Vikes, on the other hand, have a chance to win it. They have something like a 30-yard field goal, and they miss it. They miss the go-ahead field goal to win the football game against the Cards. It's insane that the guy could make a 58-yarder to send the game into overtime against the Bengals. Cannot make a 30-some-yard field goal to win the game against the Cards. It's like, oh my God, Adelaide. How about some consistency, dude? But I actually like this game offensively to watch. You got Russell Wilson versus Kirk Cousins. I understand Kirk Cousins is not no one's excited to, really hyped to see Kirk Cousins play. I disagree with that. I'm hyped to see Kirk Cousins play almost every week because of what he's doing with this offense. Now, there's a question really with Dalvin Cook. And if Dalvin Cook cannot go, it's going to be a really rough football game for the Minnesota Vikings because the offense runs through him. The offense runs through Dalvin Cook. They run play action off of him. We'll see. Kirk Cousins is a good enough quarterback. I'm really interested about the wide receivers issues. I think they have 5 wide receivers on their team on IR. They have 2 receivers that everyone knows. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. Name a receiver after that. Go. I can name them because I looked at the depth chart today. Can you name them? Go. Put it in the comment section. Don't look it up. You have KJ Osborne. You have Amir Smith-Marset. And you have D.D. Westbrook. D.D. Westbrook is a name a lot of people know. He was pretty good in Jacksonville. Outside of that, not many people know anyone else. KJ Osborne was a guy I don't really know all that much. He's not a name that pops into my head immediately. I know Amir Smith-Marset because he was one of my draft day crushes. I loved him at Iowa. And I think he has a chance to do some really good stuff in Minnesota. The defense took a serious hit last week. They've taken some serious hits over the week. I think it's going to be interesting. I think the Seattle offense versus the Vikings offense, I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think the Vikes offense is going to get the better of them. I think the Vikes are due for a win. I think the Vikes are going to get it here. Give me Minnesota at home. At 7:20, Sunday night football, ladies and gentlemen, we got the Packers traveling to San Francisco to play the 49ers. 49ers favored by 3 points on NBC. And the big storyline in this game is the 49ers running back situation. Did you guys know about this? Before the season started, everyone knew that they had a lot of running backs heading in. Yeah, obviously, right? But right before preseason starts, I'm not positive of this timeline, but Jeff Wilson, one of your top 2 backs, or at the very least, top 2 backs, maybe top 3 backs at the very least, gets hurt before the season even starts. It's a knee injury. I think he's out for the season. I don't know. Wait, I might miss a note with Mostert. Okay, one of these 2 guys is out for the season. So you're going to have to start with that. Fine. We got Raheem Mostert. We drafted Trey Sermon. We have JaMychal Hasty from last year, and we drafted Elijah Mitchell in the 7th round. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Week 1, Raheem Mostert goes down with an injury. What do you do? Apparently, if you're San Francisco, Trey Sermon is a healthy scratch. You run the ball a lot with Elijah Mitchell, who's very productive on the ground. So week 2, you're heading into the game. Sure, you lost your probably top 2 running backs to start the year. But, it's San Francisco. You're going to run the ball effectively no matter what, right? You have 3 running backs that have worked fine in the offense. Well, outside of Trey Sermon. You know Elijah Mitchell worked fine last week, and you know JaMychal Hasty can run the ball because he did that for you last year. So you have, on your depth chart, Elijah Mitchell at 1, JaMychal Hasty at 2, Trey Sermon at 3, right? And then it's just like killer against the Eagles. Elijah Mitchell goes down, JaMychal Hasty goes down, and Trey Sermon goes down. And then in the game, you have no one left to run the freaking ball. So you're all worried if you're a San Francisco Niners fan. What happened to these 3 players, and when are we going to get them back? JaMychal Hasty, boom, going on IR. That's something that's going to happen this week. JaMychal Hasty is likely out for the year. So that leaves you 2 backs, Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon. From all accounts I've heard, Elijah Mitchell is doubtful for this game, but will not go on IR, which is a sigh of relief if you're a Niners fan, because you could not deal with another running back going on IR. But that means right now, Trey Sermon, who suffered a concussion in that game, so again, it wasn't an injury that sticks with you. I mean, it sticks with long term, obviously, because of the brain thing, but it's not like a nagging injury that you won't be able to run with, right? So Trey Sermon immediately becomes your number 1 back. Does anyone know who the backs are in this team other than that? I do, because I thought it was a really fascinating story to look at. Jack Patrick. If you don't know, you can go back and you can watch my video. I think it was any of the Bengals preseason videos. I think I mentioned, just go to my playlist, hit 2021 preseason analysis, I think is what I named my my playlist there, and find the Bengals ones. And listen, because I'm pretty sure I mentioned this guy. I'm positive I mentioned this guy's name. Jack Patrick was one of my favorite preseason players to watch. I loved him. So I'm actually really interested to see him in a Niners uniform. You also know who they sent out? A guy named Cannon. I don't know his first name, honestly. But Cannon from the Ravens practice squad. You know it's rough when you're signing Ravens. Running back's not the Ravens practice squad. The Ravens have a rough situation at running back right now on their own. So those are your 3 running backs, right? On your practice squad, you have 2 veterans, which I'm surprised they didn't pick up from their practice squad and instead went out and got Jack Patrick and Cannon. Honestly, not that surprised about Patrick because I do think he's a phenomenal player. I loved watching him. But I'm also a little bit surprised about Cannon because I honestly didn't see that much of him in the preseason, and he did not do that much in the regular season. Obviously, was only active for that first game against the Raiders. But you have the veterans, Kerryon Johnson, who everyone remembers as the Lion, and you have Chris Thompson, who was a Redskin for many years, if you did not know, very good pass-catching back. So, I'm really interested to see if another running back... I really don't want this to happen for the Niners, but it just kind of seems like whatever running back they have, it will work fine. There's just absolutely no reason to panic with the 49ers when it comes to running backs. I'm confident Jimmy Garoppolo can carry this team either way. He proved it at the end of last game. He was able to win the game with no running backs healthy. So, the Niners are a team that I think is very solid this year. My dad picked to make the playoffs. I didn't. I had them just out of it. But I think the Niners are good enough to beat the Packers here. I was not surprised with the Packers last week. I think that they had a great second half. But if you start out the way you did against Detroit, against a team like the San Francisco 49ers, you will not be able to come back in the second half. I am pretty positive of this. I think this is my pick. I like the San Francisco 49ers here on Sunday night.